Hello and welcome back to the Cosmicality channel. Today we're going to be playing a game called Lovecraft, which I think is about some friendly little monsters. Some very friendly little monsters. I think this was more a visual novel than a game, but let's get into it and see just what we're in for. Looks like we're in for a lot of trouble. Just let me in the game. Good morning, child. I realize you must be confused. However, I'm afraid I lack the time to explain the situation. Your future is a mystery to us all, including me. But I believe in you. You will do well, child. Before I send you on your way, what do you wish to be called? Male name, female name? Oh, it doesn't matter. Gender is irrelevant. What is your name? Let's go with Cosmicality. Boom. Alright then. That shall be your name from here on out. Cosmicality. Travel safe, child. We will meet again when the time is right. Thank you, heavenly voice of an old man. It feels like I've been wandering these woods for years, yet not once have I seen the sun. Despite forests being places of flora and fauna, the world around me is devoid of both light and life. The only movement comes from the shadows. There's no wind in these woods. The darkness pulses like a heart. I'm not afraid, though. Instead, I feel nothing. I'm not sure where I'm going, yet I know I must keep moving forwards. My mindless persistence ultimately pays off when I reach a clearing. The moon is finally visible, the light a pale, almost pastel blue. The ethereal light shines down on 3 altars, etched with runes of different colors. To my right, the etchings run red with fresh blood. The altar, too, is stained with it. To my left, the altar is covered in moss. It looks like it rose from the ocean and was subsequently forgotten. In front of me, the runes glow with golden light, looped around the altar like chains. Beneath my feet, the shadows once more stretch out. The altars call to me. Which altar should I choose? I feel like red is gonna... I feel like that's just gonna be too much right off the bat. Let's go with the green. I like the ocean. There's something lonely about the green altar. I'm not sure exactly what draws me to it over the others. I just said what draws it to me. I like the ocean. It's a relic of times past, compared to the refined yellow or the macabre red. These are too big of words for me, man. I crouch in front of it, gently brushing away some of the moss to look at the altar's runic inscriptions. I'm not sure how long I'm there, but I only notice the passage of time when I realize the moonlight seems to have dimmed. My trance is broken by the feeling of raindrops. Raindrop dropped up. I hold out my hand and look out to the sky. Oh no! The sky isn't exactly cloudy and it's suddenly pouring with rain. Or maybe it wasn't all that sudden. I'm truly uncertain as to how long I've been standing here. It could have been days. That said, I don't have a long time to try and figure it out. I hear a sound, one I do not recognize nor understand. By the time I realize what's causing it, it's far too late to avoid it, though perhaps I never stood a chance in the first place. I see the massive flood of rainwater for only a second before it crashes down over me. It's heavy against my body as it slams into me. It's disorienting as I tumble over myself from the sheer force of its impact. But more than anything, it's deathly cold. The freezing water grips my soul as much as my body. I hold my breath until I can no more. As the liquid fills my lungs, I begin to hear things. Voices, screams, desperate cries, hysterical laughter, and snarls that can barely be called human. Maybe it's my cat. My vision begins to fade into black and my consciousness is consumed. I swear, I see, in the last flicker of the light, something large in the distance moving directly at me. Then it blinks out. Oh man, was it all just a dream? My eyes open sharply as the buzzing of my alarm clock pulls me from this strange dream. Okay. It's not the first time I've had that dream, but it has been a few months. If I know one thing for sure, though, it's that my alarm clock could drive me insane from easier than any mind-breaking hell beast possibly could. Very true. Fuck alarm clock. I swear that sound should be illegal. It works though, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much. Got me there. I pushed myself out of bed and stretched lightly before slamming my hand off on the button of the clock. I stayed up way too late last night, so it takes some will not to grab it and hurl it out the window. I begin to make my way down the hall towards the kitchen. I thought this was a kitten for a second and I was getting excited. I suppose if I wanted, I could just go back to sleep. I don't have anywhere to be. I don't work at the moment, and I don't attend school. Is this person me? I mean, I did once. But after an incident involving shadow people resulted in some weird rumors, I decided to drop out. Oh, that's too bad, man. I suppose one could assume that my life would be boring given I don't attend classes, work, or really leave the house that much. Oof, they really know how to pick their audience. I would say yes, life is pretty boring, but not for the reasons a person would naturally think. Those shadow people are far from a one-off occurrence in my life, but they're pretty mild compared to other things I've seen. Strange creatures that shouldn't exist. Odd occurrences that shouldn't be possible, sometimes resulting in deaths. I'm just imagining the narrator as, like, Timmy Turner's teacher, which is named, like, Mr. Crocker, like, flipping out, like, very good parents! Odd occurrences that shouldn't be possible, sometimes resulting in deaths. Unnatural visions and unnatural sounds. I used to think they were hallucinations, but none of the pills worked. Jesus. So instead I just kind of accepted it. I can't remember how long ago that was, since I can't celebrate my birthday and I easily lose track of time. But honestly, I've grown a bit bored by it. I'm pretty sure there are ghosts haunting my house. So to be polite, I bid them a good morning before I'm gonna pour myself breakfast. This dude's like a ghost simp. My response comes in the form of a chair tipping over. Ah, grumpy today, I see. Wait, no, am I a ghost? It's fine, I won't bother you too much. Oh no, I'll be in the library for the most part. The library in the basement is by far my favorite place in the house, despite it being just as odd as anywhere else. Rows and rows of bookshelves, I swear the library changes size and content every day. I haven't bought a single one personally. They came with the house. New books appear at random. Old ones vanish. I'd ask why, but I gave up answers long ago. Besides, I like reading the content of these books. I just want to say before I go on, this person's kitchen, like, everything is at one level. Like, all the cups are at one level. There's no plates there. I mean, it's much more organized than my kitchen, but I don't understand the layout. Sometimes they teach me things, but usually they're just as electric in genre as any library. Sometimes I even find things from other cultures. Books, encyclopedias, audiobooks, comics, manga, manhwa. I even found a DVD down there once that said the DVD was a copy of The Ring. Ooh, spooky. I don't know. I didn't chance watching it. Felt like a trap. It was gone the next day. There is one shelf that never really changes, though. Is that the cups? The complete works of H.P. Lovecraft is there. Always. I check it every time I'm in there, and it's never out of place. I've read several Lovecraft stories, and I am a fan of everyone I have read. I've read every book on that shelf. It's weird. I wonder why such an unpleasant racist man wrote so much about existential horror. Good question. But I relate to the weirdness some of those characters have experienced. I'd argue that perhaps I'm still sane, but truthfully I'm not entirely sure. After all, I did just say good morning to the poltergeist in my kitchen. Some could reasonably argue my sanity in court. At any rate, I eat my breakfast without incident. I don't bother picking up the chair that tipped. Ghosty will pick it up later when they're feeling better. I put my dishes in the sink when I'm done. A shadow casts over the sink and the bowl disappears. It's probably in the dishwasher. Shadow person, probably. The one in the house is kind of a neat freak from what I've gathered. We take turns cleaning the dishes. It's my turn today, but I guess I didn't feel like waiting. Okay, so I'm a shadow person. Thank you, I'll make it up to you. I gotta have some voice. I hear no response, but I rarely do. I begin to head to the basement. As I'm leaving the kitchen, I hear the dishwasher turn on. The basement is dark and musty, but it's familiar. I like this basement. It smells like old wooden books. I can smell it. As usual, I begin to look through the shelves to find the unfamiliar. I skim through a few titles, but they all seem like they were here the last time. I recognize them. I eventually find what looks like a newly published book. These aren't particularly common here. It looks crisp and new. I pick it up to read. I go to kick back in a chair. I think I'm the only one brave enough to come down here, as aside from the library itself, nothing seems to reside here. The book isn't particularly original, but it is enjoyable. Teen lit isn't really my genre, but it's simpler than adult literature. Some days I prefer that. It's almost magical to me how emotional characters get over simple things like love or Hollywood-style satanic curses. You know, depends on the genre. Eventually I'm moved to put it down when something unusual catches my attention. The Lovecraft bookshelf. Something seems off. Leaving the book I've been reading on the table in front of the chair, I pull myself to my feet. That purple book. I've never seen it before. Moving closer, I know that there's no writing on the spine. At least no English writing. What is this? I reach out to take it. Almost immediately I pull my hand away. It feels like it's almost shaking with uncontrollable energy. My touch only seems to inspire it, and it begins rattling ominously. Well, I'm either stupid or brave, but hey, I've seen enough weirdness. I pull the book off the shelf. It immediately bounces aggressively out of my hands and lands on the ground, opening up halfway. It flips a few pages, and then... What in the world? Ooh, that's some tentacles. The first thing that pops out of the book, I think that's a really long purple strand of someone's hair. Oh. Following that, though, is a pale, small hand and arm. For a moment, the entity, whatever it might be, seems to be struggling to pull itself out of the book. What should I do? And more importantly, what am I willing to deal with today? Watch and see what happens. Pick up the book and close it. Help the being out of the book. I feel like closing it would be hilarious. Let's close it. I picked up the book, surprised that it's not particularly heavy. Without a second thought, I snapped the book shut on the arm. Not today! The hand tenses and the arm retreats into the book. I put it back on the shelf. Maybe some other day. I moved back to the kitchen. I'm surprised by how quiet it seems. I wonder if they'll know how to get the face. I get myself a mug and begin to make myself some tea. Okay, this person's got some schizophrenia or something. About halfway through the process, I hear an unfamiliar voice behind me, causing me to pause. You dumb roach, that was so rude. The stranger is a small girl with long purple hair and a lot of dust on her, presumably from escaping the book. She's standing right at the door to the basement. Also, I think she just called me an insect, and that accused me of being the rude one. Typical behavior from creatures like this, honestly. However, I get a different vibe from this one. It makes me nervous. And it's not just because certain types of television have taught me to be very afraid of tentacles, like that tail she has there. After a moment, though, the blast of anger has devolved into semi-incoherent muttering. She then falls silent. You don't seem scared. Honestly, I'm rather used to weirdness. Really? Then you're not? The girl tails off. Then, from after a moment, approaches me. She begins to examine me like one might examine an unfamiliar can of soup. After a moment, she cracks a grin that makes me deeply nervous. Maybe you're not as useless as you seem, sweetheart. I mean, that's great, but it's settled then. She grabs both of my hands, and without even a hint of remorse or sarcasm, she declares, You and I are gonna kill my Jesus. Yikes. I barely have time to register the words and react accordingly when the entire world seems to spark out. This is some serious mental problems this guy has. It's as if the world was a TV and the channel switched to and consisted entirely of white noise. My mind hazes over. Instead of being loud, it's silent. Purely, absolutely silent. I feel like being here too long might genuinely drive me insane. Fortunately, it doesn't take long before a new world begins to materialize under my feet. The first thing that gets to me is the surreal feeling of standing on what appears to be clouds. I like this art style. This is nice. It feels like I'm floating here. but there's somehow still a sense of gravity keeping me rooted. And yet the ground still feels like it could give away any second. The next thing I notice is the sky. How would you not notice the sky first? There are stars twinkling and planets above, all in plain view of where I'm standing. It's beautiful, but it somehow feels unreal. Even the colors don't line up. The clouds are pastels, vibrant, pink and purple, while space itself is a beautiful purple. I wish I could better explain what I'm seeing. It's surreal, feels like I'm dreaming, yet it somehow feels foreboding. I don't belong here. Nothing from Earth belongs here. I don't know if anything belongs here, but I know that there's something residing here. I can feel it in my loin. Purple Girl turns to me and grins. Her smile is deceptively innocent looking. Welcome to the dreamscape, you lucky thing, you. I can only think of one other of your kind that's been here before. Consider yourself most fortunate. This is just the perfect voice for this character. I'm almost dizzy from how strange this place feels. It's very much out of my element. I'm used to weirdness, but I've never been to another realm or world before. How fascinating. Hey, are you listening? Pardon. Where are we? Who are you? The girl seems very displeased by my answer. I told you this is the dreamscape. It's where the elder gods like me live. So it's like a lowly kawaii elder god. Elder gods? I see. Oh wait, I see. You're sure calm about this. It's only fractionally stronger than most of my life up to this point. Stranger, not stronger. She pouts, but is watching me with curious eyes. I'd say curious eye. Well, well, in that case. She slams her fist into her open horizontal palm. Insect, you shall call me Yala. No. If you're going to call me insect, I'm going to call you brat. It briefly occurs to me that I'm talking back to something that calls herself an elder god. Either she's crazy or she's right, and given how she's pulled herself from the book and warped us into a new world, I'm leaning towards the latter. She pouts at me again. You truly aren't afraid. Ooh. Not really, no. She stares at me for a very long while, and then a rather creepy grin splits her face. You're more of a unique leaf bug than a common housefly. My assumptions were correct. Follow me, insect. Lead the way, brat. She doesn't respond to my comment for now, though I get this impression that she might try and kill me in my sleep. All the same, I follow her. We don't stop walking until we reach a building. Just a normal-ass house in the middle of space. I'm surprised immediately by just how normal it looks compared to everything else around me. It's a small wooden house, maybe with 2 or 3 bedrooms. The only thing that really sticks out about it is what I would loosely call a housefly. Yeah, I saw that. What even is that thing? Kinda looks like an octopus. Creeps me out. Me too. Aside from that plant, though, nothing looks out of the ordinary. It definitely seems like it's for a person, not for someone like Nyala, though she seems excited to be here. We are here. Jeez, look at those teeth. Here, this is your place. Nyala looks almost genuinely offended. Of course not. Why would someone like me live in a dumpy old place like this? I can't think of a response, so I just hum softly. You, on the other hand, I bet you could live here just fine. Go on in. I don't know why, but this almost feels like a trap somehow, in the same vein as that The Ring DVD. Does something else live in that house? Only one way to find out. I walk ahead of Nyala and up to the front steps. I test the doorknob. It's not locked. I knock tentatively before opening the door. Even the interior looks really plain. Something about that brings comfort. It's not ugly or run down by any means. In fact, it's really quite nice. Still, it's a sharp contrast to look out the window to see vibrantly covered clouds underneath the building instead of proper floor. The building looks well maintained, almost seems like someone keeps this place tidy. A few seconds later, I feel a foot planted firmly against my butt, and I'm pushed further into the building.
You're slow. You can go inside and look around. No other person lives here.
Niala walks in behind me and I hear the door click shut. I glare back at Niala, displeased.
That was unnecessary. You're unnecessary. You were a mistake. I should have just left that book untouched.
Niala's pouting is practically audible.
You're so mean, you dumb bug.
That sentence is so contradictory that I don't humor it with a response. I change his topic instead.
Does anyone else live in the house?
Should just say nobody does.
The house is no permanent residence, but it does have a hideous maid that maintains it.
Huh. Wishes it's hideous makes it sound like they don't get along and she's just taking a shot at her maid. I have no proof of that, though.
Never mind. Never mind anything else. Why did you bring me here? You mentioned your mother.
Niala perks up and grins wickedly at the words. She grabs my hands and drags me to the sofa.
Yeah, she's the creator of this universe.
So like God.
I want you to help me destroy her. Why? Not just why would you do that, but why would I want to?
Excellent questions.
Imagine the power you'd have. Imagine the chaos you could bring to the world. It sounds so exciting.
This girl is a raving lunatic. She seems to notice my skepticism. She looks serious for a moment.
Would you kill a god? You gain their powers, insect. Have you ever dreamed of having the power of a god? Not really.
She seems surprised, then brushes it off.
I'm sure it's only because you can't even comprehend it. The idea will grow on you. I'm sure of it. I'm less sure. If not for the teleportation, I'd think you were a crazy person, not a god. You're so mean, Moth. I don't deserve this treatment. You dragged me from my house and are now insisting I murder a person. She's not a person. She's a god. How is that better? You get the benefits from killing a god, of course.
She says it like it's the most logical thing in the world. Like that makes up for everything that's wrong here. I take a deep breath, trying to reel in my annoyance.
Look, again, you're, trying to accomplish something. I'm really not the right person for it.
Niala stares at me for a moment, then just smiles innocently.
No, you are. What makes you say that? You really shouldn't question me, stick bug. Aren't you humans supposed to have faith in gods?
Okay, that touches a nerve.
If you know something I don't, then tell me. Otherwise, you're just another narcissistic egomaniac of a monster, like the dozens I've dealt with this month.
Alright, I'm gonna stop this here. Just because I don't want the Let's Play to get too long. But I'm gonna save this. Right here. I do. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, remember to subscribe and I'll be back with part 2 shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye.